Sparring means absolutely nothing, people. I wanted to make this clear to you guys. First of all, I'd like to introduce myself if you don't know me by now. My name is Eric Bradley, aka The Fight Doctor. And you're watching Master Boxing. And this is where we break the fight world down, baby. Round by round. First and foremost, sparring means absolutely what it's supposed to mean. It's a session in which you learn and correct your mistakes. Mistakes being things that you don't do well. Things that are your tendencies that you don't need to carry into the fight. Mistakes that you make. It's set up to erase those things or minimize them so they won't be the reasons that you are in a loss. So I see a lot of people embracing the conversation, and I understand that it's just conversation, but it gets a little bit tedious when they start to weigh that and compare that to what's going to happen in the fight. And all of the guys that are out there watching this, and this means you already know sparring don't mean crap. Sparring is a lesson. You didn't start the first kindergarten when you was in kindergarten and you made all straight perfect grades. That didn't mean you were gonna graduate with honors or valedictorian. I had to use an analogy that some of you guys could understand and process. The sparring is the exact same thing. It's just the lesson. It's a pop quiz. It doesn't mean that's how you're gonna perform in the fight, and it doesn't mean that's gonna dignify who you are, and it's definitely not going to define your career. What you do in sparring, there is no sparring record, and we all must know this. So the fact that I'm hearing that Floyd Mayweather is dropping sparring partners, Manny Pacquiao is dropping Freddie Roach, Zab Judah has dropped Floyd Mayweather, these things would only be good because that means early in camp you're exploiting your weaknesses and you're able to work on them. But now, round two. What I'm going to get into is how sparring is set up. Sparring is set up on a we want you to fail basis. Freddie Roach would pay guys $1,000 to knock Manny Pacquiao down in camp. That didn't really happen, but for the most part, coaches wanted to see their guy get handed the work whenever they are thinking and they're a little too high and mighty. So you want the guys in there that'll bring that funk to them, that'll make them realize that they're not the only dogs on the planet. Let me give you a couple of examples because some of you like to really get inside of the world of sparring. As a coach, and I was side by side with decorated guys who are in the game and going down in history. But the points are here. We're going to go over, and this is how sparring's broke down. Just say your name is John Boxing Joe. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to get you to keep your hands up and stop being countered with a right. So I'll put you in the ring with, James Boxing Joe, whoever. And they are giving you a quality round. You're coming out, you're smoking. Next thing you know, I got some reserves for you because you're looking too good in that fight. You're not working on what we planned for you to work on. So what I got to do is I got to bring in a fresh body after you put in 3 or 4 quality rounds. Your body, your oxygen levels are a little low. So now here I come in with Michael Tyson. Just say Michael Tyson is fresh. Just finished jumping rope, legs ready, just got hand wrapped. Now you got to give me 3 with Michael Tyson. Now think about this. You're exhausted. You just sprinted 200 yards in the ring with Jane or John Doe. Now you got to go in there with a fresh Michael Tyson. So the best thing that you can expect out of this sparring right now is that you can survive well. So that makes you work on your defense. He's sharp, so he's countering your jab, good and crispy, unlike John Doe could do. So now you have to keep your hands up or roll that shoulder. Each little thing that you learn in sparring elevates your boxing game to the next level in the later rounds. So that's round 2. Round 3, I'm going to give you a few examples of what happens when you got top fighters. And you got guys coming in there trying to build a name off of sparring. One of my fighters, Donnell Holmes, one of the top heavyweights coming up in the mid-2000 era. And Donnell was breaking guys off. Roy Jones is on the record on HBO calling Donnell to come out there and clean up the division. Needless to say, Donnell was a beast in that ring. And Donnell brought the funk. The only thing, he could not get the kind of money that those guys were offering when he was getting called to fight guys like Samuel Peter and everybody that was in the heavyweight division. You know, we got offers to come out to work and train with Klitschko, took those offers. Donnell didn't himself, but a couple of other heavyweights that are in my camp, which was Paul Marinaccio, Super Southpaw, 6'5", 245, dry. Let me tell you something else. And then we had John Hagler, hands nice like Roy Jones, 6'4", 245 and some change. Quick, southpaw, nice with him. He got to go out there and give Klitschko some work. John was 17-0 at the time. And like I said, Donnell Holmes had made it to 34-0, crushing and defeating one of Freddie Roach's fighters, which was Brian Mento. They got the fight overturned because they said he headbutted him, which it was a jab like Ali. He floated like a butterfly, sting like a bee. But that's the powers that be. So we got caught up in the controversy. But needless to say, Donnell Holmes is the goods. Donnell was just like my man Muhammad Ali. Donnell Holmes was so good and smart and humble in the ring that when he sparred, he never put onus in sparring. All he did was work on the tricks that were necessary to make him better when he got into the fight. And when he got into the fight, he brought so much funk to Brian Mento that Chris Arreola was at ringside. And this was before Chris really blew up, but he was known. He was on HBO and he was smoking them. He called and tried to get something set up to get in the ring with Donnell because fighters like to fight fighters that they see can fight. And Chris Arreola like dogs. Donnell Holmes was a dog. And you don't get to 34-0, 28-0, 30-0 at heavyweight and you ain't real. So needless to say, Donnell would spar. I would get guys ready and we would get work because Donnell needed solid work because he was climbing that ladder. And we got guys in. I brought in a good heavyweight. He was a heavyweight at the time. Right now he's fighting at cruiserweight at 200. But at the time we had my man, which is now he's also a lawyer. Tilt my hat to Vinroy July. Southpaw, slick with it, nice with them hands. I taught him that body work, attack. So when he sparred with Donnell, he would beat the drum, spinning them and turning them and using speed and angles like Manny Pacquiao, but 6'1". He would get out of the ring and say, that dude's the WBC Intercontinental Champion. I was like, hey, he's in the ring to learn. He's not in the ring to beat you. These things are so over-glorified. Now that was round 3. We put that in the can. I wanted you guys to understand that I also had to make sure in his mindset that Vinroy understood that fighting in the sparring and fighting in the square circle when it counts is 2 different things. So he did take that with a grain of salt because right now he's like 27-1 and the guy is on top and has taken his own promotion or company up under his own banner and got to that point and also became a lawyer because we teach credentials in our camp. Be sure that you put your business ahead of your fight game because that's always first. And so, like I said before, hats off to Vinroy July. You can Google him, follow him. He's doing his thing up in Baltimore. And believe me, those boys up there bring the heat. That's the reason when Adrian Broner went over there to DC, everything got turned up. He looks a lot better because in DC, on the East Coast over here, you know, it goes down. We put in that work. And when you walk through them doors, you better believe you're going to be real when you walk out. It's baptized by fire. It ain't a game over here. especially when you're rolling and you're dealing with the fight doctor. Next thing we did is we opened up the gate to make people clear. Now we're going to go into round 4. And round 4 is really clarity. Because when these guys, like I said, my testament, the last round was about Van Roy getting in the ring with guys like Donnell. And Donnell allowing this guy to get off so he can learn how to handle and control these guys. Learning how to bring them in and tie them up without using energy. Learning how to walk them back. Using his own weight against them. Learning how to turn them.